Hey, stop giving talks that make you busy and start giving talks that make you money. In my brand new limited series podcast, Public Speaking Monetization Tips, I'll show you exactly how to use speaking to grow your business, attract high-end quality clients, and get paid, even from no-fee gigs. So if you're serious about turning your message into income, search Public Speaking Monetization Tips on your favorite podcast platform and hit play today. Whether you're on a stage, in a job interview, or pitching your services, or maybe being interviewed on a podcast, how you communicate matters. Speaking with confidence isn't just about having the right words, it's about owning your voice and delivering your message with clarity and presence. I'll talk more about that. So today, we're breaking down the power of communication and how to use it in any situation. Are you a coach, a consultant, or a service provider? I'm Laurie-Ann, your host, and this is Be in Demand. This podcast is all about how to leverage public speaking events, get positioned as the expert, and monetize your message. So if you're looking to start using speaking opportunities as your best form of marketing, stick around. You're in the right place. One of the best skills you're ever going to learn and continually improve through your life is communication, is how to really show up and move people with your voice, because it really isn't just about the words that you actually use. It's about how you make people feel. What is the energy that's coming behind your words? How you make people feel isn't always something that's so rehearsed. Think about all those times that you might have been at a networking event, you might have been in line at the bank. There's so many different places that you might be where somebody turns around, strikes up a conversation, and then says, "What do you do?" And to be able to have something that naturally just flows, that you feel really good about sharing, so that it doesn't come across with the wrong energy. You don't say too much that you end up boring the person. You're not looking at body language. You're not aware of your own body language. I mean, there's so much that goes into communication. And one of the biggest mistakes that I see people make, both in their elevator pitch, if you will, and also in their speeches, is giving too much information, over-explaining, fire-hosing people with information, and then they don't know what to do. Because when somebody is overwhelmed or they don't understand what you do, then they do nothing. They don't know who to refer you to. They don't know if you're right for them. They don't know if they should bring you in to speak to their association, their mastermind group, their company. So keeping it short and simple for people to understand. And this can take a little bit of practice. This is something that I actually talked a lot about in episode number 65. Yep, it's a blast from the past, folks. It is on your elevator pitch. Your elevator pitch is a commercial and not a documentary. This is a problem that I see so many people making. As a matter of fact, I'm always so amazed when I'm in a group of people, I will do something very different from what I'm hearing from person to person to person. And one of the last times I was in a networking group, I went into a story. That's how I started off my introduction to who I was. Another thing that I do believe is that people really don't care about what your name is. Especially if you're at a conference, you're already wearing your name tag. So you don't need to say, well, my name is Laurie-Ann and what I do is, and who I work with, none of that. You want to make it interesting. So definitely go listen to episode number 65, and I'll make sure that I link down to that one down below in the show notes. Now, you might think, when I'm put on the spot, I feel a little nervous about explaining. Now, I also want to just take a little caveat here and also insert, this could be during a Q&A session. This could be not just with your elevator pitch. It could just be like you're in conversation and somebody asks you a question, whether it's about your expertise or it's about politics or something that's going on in sports or in the news or something. Whenever you feel like you're being put on the spot, you might feel a little nervous.
Just take a pause. Give your brain a second to catch up. Give your brain a second to formulate your answer. So do not feel pressured to start speaking right away. Just like, hold on a second. Let me think about this. This is a great question. And then give your answer. So take a deep breath because breathing helps ground us as well. So being able to speak on the spot is going to benefit you in so many different areas of your life, whether it is a sales presentation, a job interview, a networking opportunity, speaking on stage and answering questions, or even speaking on stage if you're, let's just say like a speaker doesn't show up. And when I was at a conference just a couple of months ago, that's exactly what happened. There was weather that prevented some speakers from getting there. And a friend of mine who knew that I was there heard about this situation that they were going to be in and said, Laurie-Ann is here. And I'm pretty darn sure, because she's a speaking coach and she does a lot of professional speaking, that she had a speech that she could pull out of her back pocket, which is very true. I could have done that. But again, that would be being put on the spot. Might have been a long time since I had rehearsed that particular talk. But being able to speak on the spot is going to benefit you in the long run. Point number 2 is how to speak with authority without sounding like you're reading a script, like you're a robot. I don't want you to do that. I want you to be fully present with the person who you are speaking with. So you're going to speak in statements. This is one of those mistakes that I see people making a lot, and you can hear it. They are speaking in questions versus statements. And so what I mean by that is I help people with public speaking. That's a statement. But you will also hear people say, and this is for example, I help people with public speaking. Their voice goes up towards the end of the sentence and it makes it sound like a question. So if I said that, you're going to be receiving this information and be like, is she really a speaking coach? Is that really what she helps people with? Because it sounds like she's not sure what she does. And once you start noticing this, you'll see it in lots of different places. So speak in statements. Know exactly what you do. Just really be an observer also of your own tone, your own energy, your own voice. Notice where you are picking up towards the end of the sentence and sounding like you're asking a question. Another way is to think about your filler words. Now, I have a belief that filler words are actually very natural to the way that we speak. It's just natural. But when you have too many ums and likes, and one of my filler phrases is what I'll call it is, and until you start editing your own speeches, webinars, podcasts, you wouldn't know exactly what that is. I wouldn't have been able to pick that out until I had started editing my own podcast, which I think that there's a huge benefit in doing that. It's actually making me a better speaker. So when you're using too many filler words, you can sound like you're not sure about what you're talking about. Just be very conscious about them. How do you get rid of them? Don't feel like you have to constantly be speaking. There is power in pausing. Take a breath. Take a sip of water so that you're not saying ums and likes. What it is that you feel this pressure to constantly having something come out of your mouth. And so, hence the filler words. Try to become aware of what your filler words are when you're using them, because there might be a pattern that you might be able to disrupt. And the last thing that I want to say about speaking with authority is to know what your main message is. What's the one thing that you want people to remember about you? I don't want people to know a laundry list of, here's all the different ways that I work with people. I work with people in private settings and also group settings. Reach out and schedule a discovery call, and I will help you decide which option is right for you. This is my healthcare background, but I'm going to make a diagnosis and I'm going to make a prescription. Here's what I think that you should do. Here's where I think you would best fit in. Here's the program that I think you're going to get so much out of. This also comes down to, how do I want this person that's sitting across from me, that I'm standing next to, how do I want them to feel? What do I want them to remember about me? What's the energy that I am speaking to them in? And am I being fully present? Because if you're not fully present, which means like you're either in the future wondering what they're thinking about, or you're in the past wondering about like, oh, like I just said that, maybe I need to bring that back. Maybe I need to explain that a little more. You're not being fully present. And when you're not fully present, people really do feel that. So be fully present. I mean, I hope that while you're listening to this podcast, you feel like I am speaking to you. I'm always fully present when I am recording my podcast, whenever I am a guest on somebody's podcast, whenever I am speaking on somebody's in-person or virtual stage. I always feel like I'm here to serve and have fun at the same time. I just want people to feel my energy. And it was not always like that. There were times where I hadn't put in enough of the speaking reps. I was nervous. And when I'm nervous, when you're nervous, you're inside your own head. And you're worried about how you're going to be perceived, which is worrying about the future. Your thoughts are in the future. So stay fully present. And the third point that I want to share with you is about adapting your message depending on the situation. I mean, if you're in a job interview, a sales presentation, a podcast interview, some sort of media appearance, you are speaking differently and really understanding the different situations, the situation that you are in, the person that you are speaking to, what are their needs? So like a sales presentation, if you're an entrepreneur, you are going to be focused on, how do I help this person go from point A to point B? Because you have a process, you have a methodology that you help people get from point A to point B. And what is that? For me, it's people that feel like they're invisible. They're not doing great marketing. They don't feel like when they're on stage, or they're avoiding being on stage, that they're not going to do a good job. And they don't even know how to get booked on stage. All the way to the point B for me is that you become an expert in your field. That's hence the name of this podcast, is Be in Demand. I want people to refer to you by name and not by occupation or the need that they have, such as, hey, we need a web designer. Let's go find a web designer. Instead, somebody says, no, you need to call Jane Smith, because Jane is an authority in web design. I want you to focus on the transformation. How is your service going to change the life of the person that you are speaking with, whether that's one person or a group of people? Job interviews are very different. Like, they are very focused on you, about your accomplishments, your experience, and why do you want to work for this particular company? So use a lot of storytelling. I remember once being in a job interview, and it was just a per diem job. And one of the questions she asked me was, when did you go above and beyond the call of duty? And I was like, I got to think about that. I said, I don't believe that there ever is a time that I don't go above and beyond. And then I went into sharing with her, here's how I treat my patients. Here's what I do for them. And she was like, good answer. So storytelling is candy for the brain. And also remember that when you are in a job interview, it is also your job to interview the company. Do not give the company all the power, because you have to decide if this is a sort of organization, if this is a sort of culture that you actually want to work in. So turn it around and make sure you ask really good questions. And again, that will just set you apart from the other candidates. When you're in a podcast interview, let's talk about that because I hope that you are getting on lots of podcasts as a guest because it's a great way to speak OPA, other people's audiences. Have a couple of key points that you want to highlight. Don't wing it. There are certain things that when I get on a podcast, I am literally an open book, but I am talking about speaking. I will reflect back to my story about how I'm a reformed, painfully shy gal because most people find that so hard to believe. I've got stories about how I overcame my shyness, how I said yes even before I was ready. Because when you think about it, you're never actually going to be ready. You just have to put yourself in the shoes and just do the thing. You got to do the reps. So instead of talking about a laundry list of things, I just want you to have a few key points. And of course, your host is probably going to have some questions that they're interviewing you with. And if you're great with that, then perfect. Go with it. If you feel like I need a little more structure and here are the questions that I would like you to ask me, you're saving your host a lot of extra work. But just know that you still got to be able to speak spontaneously and on the spot. So before I close, I just want you to know that if today's episode got you thinking about how you're showing up and maybe even realizing that you've been waiting a little too long to step into bigger opportunities, let's hop on a discovery call together. In just a short conversation, I'll help you uncover where you're overlooking great speaking and visibility opportunities, where you might be leaving money on the table, and how speaking can position you as the go-to expert in your industry. This is a no pressure, no awkward sales pitch, just real insights to help you grow. So if you're ready to finally use speaking to build your brand and business, let's chat. Just head over to speakandstandout.com/discovery, and that link will be down below, and grab a spot on my calendar, and I can hardly wait to connect with you. The key things that I want you to walk away with is confidence isn't about knowing everything, and it's not about sharing all of your information with everybody in one conversation. One of the things that I love to say during my speeches is I couldn't possibly share with you 25 years of speaking experience in 45 minutes. And that's a really nice segue into my call to action. So what I hope that you've gotten out of this is, how are you showing up when you are speaking? I want you to be fully present, enjoy the conversation, but know that people are asking you some of the same questions again and again and again. That what do you do is one of them. And just being able to have an elevator pitch that is a commercial that leads to tell me more and not a documentary where the person is fidgeting with their phone, praying that it's going to go off so that they can walk away. Hey, the only reason why I know this is because I've made all these mistakes very early on in my career. So this week, I want you to notice how you are showing up in conversations. Are you rushing through your words? Are you hesitating? Or are you speaking with certainty and being fully present? Feel free to DM me over on Instagram. It's Laurie-Ann.Mirabito. And let's just have a conversation about it. Share with me your thoughts on this particular episode and where you're going to start improving. If you found this episode helpful, take a second and share it with one of your friends who could use a little boost in their communication skills. And don't forget to hit the follow so that you never miss an episode. So until next time, I want you to speak boldly, communicate with confidence, own your voice, and of course, be in demand.
Hey, before you go, do you want to learn how to turn every talk into clients and cash? Well, check out my brand new limited series podcast, Public Speaking Monetization Tips. You'll learn how to find speaking opportunities, monetize every stage, and use your voice as your most powerful marketing tool. Whether you're a coach, a consultant, or an expert, this series will help you speak smarter, not harder. Search for Public Speaking Monetization Tips on your favorite podcast app and start listening today.